Imagine this. You are 8 years old. It is like a completely normal sunlit summer day back in 2012. You are playing a standard game of hide and seek with the neighborhood kids.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Right. The heat of the afternoon is making the air shimmer, and you find the absolute perfect hiding spot, a cozy, hidden little alcove tucked right behind some overgrown bushes near the edge of the property line. You're giggling to yourself, just waiting. But the sun is warm, the brush is soft, and eventually you just fall asleep.
Which is completely harmless.
Exactly. Completely harmless, right. Except when the game ends and your parents start combing the yard, you are gone. And I don't just mean you wandered off down the street. I mean you are completely wiped from the physical grid, vanished without a single trace.
It's definitely the kind of premise that immediately triggers our most primal anxieties, about safety and permanence.
Oh, absolutely.
But the destination in this specific scenario is far beyond anything a neighborhood search party could ever uncover. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to unpack a brilliantly layered original story by Loop Animation Studios titled Project Reincarnation. We are going to explore this narrative not just as a thrilling sci-fi mystery, but as this really intense thought experiment about the architecture of human memory, the mechanics of consciousness, and, well, the crushing burden of ultimate free will.
And what really pulls you in immediately is the sheer jarring contrast of it all. The story takes this incredibly grounded, relatable childhood memory hiding in the bushes on a summer day and just violently fractures it into something aggressively alien. Because the true mystery of this narrative isn't where this 8-year-old girl, let's just call her Rachel, went on Earth. It's what she woke up into. Okay, let's unpack this. Rachel doesn't wake up feeling dirt or brush or grass under her fingernails.
No, she doesn't.
She wakes up suspended in midair. She is laying flat on her back on this cold, synthetic, rectangular floating board.
We really need to visualize the sensory deprivation of the environment she finds herself in here. I mean, she is inside a pure, blindingly white room. There are no windows, no visible seams in the walls, no doors, and most critically, it is an exact G=0 environment.
Total zero gravity.
Exactly. Total zero gravity. The only object stabilized in this entire infinite white space is the board she is resting on.
And as her consciousness slowly comes back online, she realizes she cannot move a single muscle. She is trapped in total physical paralysis. Now, think about severe sleep paralysis for a second. You know that terrifying feeling where your mind is awake, but your body is basically anchored to the bed?
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah.
Because your brain isn't getting normal sensory feedback, so it starts hallucinating immediate threats in the shadows.
Yes. Imagine that exact mechanism, but you are an 8-year-old kid. But hold on, I need to push back on this right away. How does an 8-year-old human mind wake up in an environment utterly devoid of basic Earth physics and not just instantly die of systemic shock?
Well, that is exactly the physiological crisis occurring in this opening sequence. I mean, the human nervous system is entirely constructed around gravity. The otolith organs in your inner ear constantly measure the pull of the Earth to tell your brain which way is up.
Right, so you have balance.
Exactly. When you suddenly strip gravity away, those organs start misfiring continuously. To an 8-year-old brain, this translates to the sheer, horrifying sensation of falling endlessly into a void, even though she is lying flat. Add the total lack of visual anchors in a seamless white room, and her nervous system defaults to absolute panic. Cortisol just floods her bloodstream.
So she is basically hovering on the razor's edge of...
Total psychological collapse, yes.
Which makes the arrival of her rescuers deeply unsettling. She suddenly feels 2 distinct presences step inside this supposedly airtight room. Her eyes are struggling against this harsh, blinding white glare, but she manages to open them. And she is staring up at 2 incredibly tall, skinny, feminine figures.
And their physiology is definitively non-human.
Oh, yeah. They have this translucent, deep teal skin. So Rachel is locked down by absolute terror, just assuming she is in an inescapable nightmare. But they don't speak to her. Not out loud, anyway. Here's where it gets really interesting. A calm, whispering voice manifests directly inside Rachel's skull. It just echoes. Calm down, Rachel. We are here to help you.
And this represents a really fascinating workaround for the biological panic we were just discussing. I mean, the entities clearly recognize that her auditory processing, like hearing a booming alien voice in a white room, would completely shatter her fragile mental state.
So they just bypass the ears entirely?
Exactly. By initiating telepathic contact, they deliver a calming neurological frequency straight into her frontal lobe, forcibly bypassing her biological fight-or-flight response.
And it triggers an immediate physical reaction. The paralysis breaks, her toes start to wiggle, her fingers twitch, but it is not a smooth process at all. The sudden influx of nerve signals causes her entire body to start violently shivering. She is shaking, completely out of control.
Which is the exact mechanism of a central nervous system reboot. I mean, for however long she was unconscious, her motor functions were completely shut down. The violent shivering is essentially neurological static.
Like her brain is suddenly trying to process temperature, muscle tension, and spatial awareness all at exactly the same time.
Yeah, the hardware is struggling to boot up the software.
And the entities recognize she is crashing. So a second telepathic voice cuts through the silent room, and this one is totally different. It's sharp, it's clinical, it just orders. Start the scans, stabilize her body and mind, and the technological response is instantaneous. Out of empty air, these floating holographic screens manifest. A semi-spherical orb descends from the ceiling and sweeps her entire body with a grid of light.
Almost like a medical bay suddenly appearing out of nowhere.
Exactly. Shelves of data slides and graphical scans suddenly appear floating on her right-hand side. One of the teal beings steps forward, takes the leading front scan of Rachel's body, and swaps it away with a past historical slide. Then they command the orb to scan her a second time.
See, what's fascinating here is the psychological impact of the tech. This is a masterclass in sci-fi world building by Loop Animation Studios, specifically because of the mechanism at play. They're performing what the narrative calls a biotemporal override.
Wait, pause. I'm stuck on this. You're saying they aren't just giving her a futuristic sedative, they are literally rewinding her biological clock.
Basically, yes.
But how does an organism survive that kind of cellular shock? Swapping a current scan with an old one sounds like you're just, editing a photograph, but this is a living, breathing kid.
It's a great question, and it speaks to how absurdly advanced this technology is. Think of it like restoring a complex software system to a backup saved from Tuesday, but applied to human neurochemistry.
Okay, I'm with you.
The first scan maps her current panic endocrine system, so the massive spike in cortisol, the erratic heart rate. By overlaying the past historical slide, the technology forces her cells to instantly align with a previously recorded, perfectly stable biological template. It flushes the stress hormones and synthetically realigns her neurotransmitters to match that calm state.
Wow. And it works instantaneously. The moment that second scan finishes, the violent shivering just stops. The fear completely evaporates. Rachel closes her eyes, opens them, and feels this overwhelming sense of calm. The story describes it as feeling like a newborn baby, yet perfectly preserved inside her 8-year-old body. Her mind is just completely clear.
The profound implication here is that emotion, fear, and even trauma are treated purely as chemical equations that can be solved and overwritten. The technology bridges that massive gap between an 8-year-old's terror and the reality of her situation by artificially inducing neurological tranquility.
But what I love about this is that once the terror is chemically removed, the 8-year-old suburban spunk comes roaring right back. I mean, she is stabilized, she is defensive, and she looks right at them, speaking out loud. Please tell me where I am right now. And she demands to know how they are speaking in her head without moving their lips.
To which the calm voice just echoes back into her thoughts, stating simply, "We are your family. We are a part of you."
Which obviously does not compute for a kid who just wanted to play hide and seek.
Not at all.
They calmly explain that they are telepathic members of the Galactic Council currently stationed inside a mothership hovering directly above Earth. And as they reveal this, the room physically responds. The screens, the glowing scanning orb, they all dissolve seamlessly back into the walls. The space shifts from an intimidating medical bay into this clean, spacious, white oval room. Rachel slides to the edge of the floating board, puts her feet on the cold, smooth floor, and the two teal beings step closer.
They are basically preparing her for an initiation. They reach down, gently open Rachel's small hands, and instruct her to make physical contact. Her left hand in one of theirs, her right hand in the other.
And the very millisecond their skin touches, Rachel's eyes lock shut. Her mind is just flooded with an overwhelming torrent of thoughts, cosmic emotions, and ancient memories. It's an entire lifetime compressed into mere minutes. But I need to start here because the mechanics of this are wild. We're talking thousands of years of data. How does simply holding hands transmit an entire ancient lifetime of memories into a biological human brain?
The narrative suggests a form of somatic telepathy. The skin-to-skin contact creates a closed bioelectric circuit. I mean, human brains already transmit information via electrical impulses across synapses, right?
Sure.
So this alien physiology essentially acts as a massive hyperconductive external hard drive plugging directly into our nervous system. It bypasses language entirely and forces her brain to instantly synchronize with a dormant archive of consciousness that was actually already buried deep within her own DNA.
And the massive twist hidden in that archive is absolutely staggering. In that flash of cosmic data, Rachel suddenly knows everything. She realizes that in an ancient past life, she wasn't an 8-year-old human. She wasn't even their child. She was their mother.
Right.
In another cosmic era, they were all sisters. And ultimately, she uncovers the memory of her true original lifetime. She is a high-ranking mission commander for the Galactic Council.
It completely upends the entire foundation of the story. The frightened human child was merely a shell, just a temporary biological vessel for an ancient, authoritative cosmic entity.
But doesn't that contradict the very nature of identity? Imagine unzipping a massive 2,000-year-old file in your brain that instantly rewrites your entire existence. Does the 8-year-old Rachel persona just cease to exist in that moment? Or do the two identities merge into one?
It is a brilliant philosophical dilemma. If we define identity purely by our memories and experiences, then injecting a massive dominant consciousness would theoretically eclipse the short 8 years of human
It would
experience.
just overwrite her.
Right. However, the narrative implies it isn't a deletion, but rather a profound contextualization. Think of it like realizing your entire life has just been a single sentence in a 1,000-page novel. The sentence is still there. The 8-year-old Rachel still exists. But she's no longer the entire story. She is just the most recent chapter of an impossibly vast cosmic existence.
Okay, but this profound revelation naturally begs a critical question for you listening at home. If she is a high-ranking galactic commander with a fleet at her disposal, how did she end up as an 8-year-old playing hide-and-seek in suburban America?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at the historical logs of her final original lifetime. Exactly 2,000 years ago, she was leading a highly critical, incredibly dangerous assignment. She had descended thousands of feet below Earth's crust into a deserted ancient site to retrieve vital planetary data.
But it was a trap. Or, well, at the very least, a brutal ambush. During the extraction, her unit was attacked by a hostile, highly aggressive native subterranean species that inhabits the Earth's core. Rachel was mortally wounded deep beneath the surface. Now, here is the part that infuriates me. Are you seriously telling me that an advanced intergalactic fleet hovering right above the planet just let their commander die because of red tape?
It highlights the cold, unyielding reality of intergalactic bureaucracy. Because of the absolute strictness of galactic law, specifically their non-intervention policies, her fleet was legally and technologically forbidden from intervening to save her life. They were also forbidden from retaliating against the subterranean species. They just had to watch her perish.
That is just brutal. But the tragedy doesn't stop there. Because she died within Earth's atmospheric boundary, her soul became permanently trapped in the planet's local reincarnation cycle.
And we have to explore the physics of how that actually works in this universe because it's a really fascinating concept. The narrative suggests that planetary bodies possess spiritual gravity.
Spiritual gravity.
Yeah. Think of physical gravity, which pulls mass toward its center. Spiritual gravity is an energetic mass that pulls on consciousness. A soul has a specific frequency. When a high-frequency being perishes within the dense, low-frequency atmospheric boundary of Earth, it's like a helium balloon getting trapped under a thick glass ceiling.
Oh, wow.
The energy cannot escape back into the cosmos. It gets caught in the planet's closed loop and is simply cycled back down into the nearest available biological vessel.
A 2,000-year loop. I mean, for 2 millennia, her memory was wiped clean at every single birth. She was forced to live human life after human life, all because of intergalactic red tape. Her family and her fleet just had to patiently watch her bounce around the human timeline for centuries. So her family basically hacked the bureaucratic system during a game of hide-and-seek to beam her up.
Exactly. They couldn't intervene in the ancient battle, but they spent 2,000 years tracking her unique soul signature across countless human lifetimes. They finally isolated her frequency during that childhood game in 2012, bypassed the planetary grid, and pulled her consciousness out of the reincarnation cycle. It really highlights a staggering level of devotion. 2,000 years of waiting to bring their commander home.
Which brings us to the ultimate climax of the story. The rescue is complete. Her true consciousness is fully restored, but she is still sitting there inside the physical body of an 8-year-old human child. The telepathic contact breaks, and she looks at her family.
And her family explains the final cruel irony of cosmic law. Just as the laws of free will prevent them from intervening to save her life 2,000 years ago, those exact same laws prevent them from forcing her to stay on the mothership now.
Wait, really?
Yes, they cannot abduct her against her will, even if she is their mother and commander. They must present her with a choice.
So what does this all mean? It boils down to a devastating ultimatum. Option 1. Return to the backyard on Earth. They wipe her memory. Again, they use that advanced technology to erase this entire event and her cosmic identity, send her back down to that sunlit backyard, and she wakes up in the bushes. She continues living a normal, predictable, simple human life.
It is the offer of blissful ignorance, the quiet comfort of a mortal life, entirely free from the heavy burdens of galactic command, the trauma of her past violent deaths, and the crushing weight of cosmic responsibility.
Or there is option 2. She completely severs all attachments to the human world. She leaves Earth, her human parents, and her friends behind forever. She steps out into the infinite stars, sheds the identity of the 8-year-old girl, and reclaims her active mantle as a commander of the Galactic Council.
And the absolute brilliance of Loop Animation Studios' narrative is that it ends precisely at this crossroads. There is no recorded outcome. We are not told what she ultimately chose.
It is the ultimate cliffhanger. Comfort versus the cosmos. So I want to turn this over to you, listening right now. Try to put yourself in that white room. If you closed your eyes during a childhood game, woke up, and suddenly had 2,000 years of ancient memories unlock in your brain, what would you do? If you realized you were a lost space commander trapped in an endless loop, do you choose to go back to sleep or do you take command?
This raises an important question, something that lingers far beyond the edges of the story itself. Consider the exact mechanism of option 1. If someone were to choose to return to Earth, to embrace the comfort of ignorance and live a normal human life, they would have absolutely zero memory of ever making that choice. Which makes you wonder, what if the strange sense of déjà vu you occasionally feel, or those incredibly vivid, unexplainable dreams you have of flying or of unfamiliar star systems, aren't just random neurological activity? What if they are actually the faint, leaking echoes of a cosmic choice you already made, to walk away from the infinite and choose the quiet comfort of Earth?
Wow. Next time you find yourself wanting to take a nap in the sun, maybe keep one eye open. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Project Reincarnation. We invite you to keep looking up, keep asking questions, and continue exploring the strange and fascinating details of our universe.